All right, welcome back, everyone. In today's episode, we're going to be finishing up our inventory, and I think that's it. So let's get right into it. First thing we're going to do is we want to actually check for, sorry, do this, and we're going to check for inventory. Or we'll just do it in, because we want a way to show and hide our inventory, right? Because it's a different section than our pause section. If you decide to make this inside of one pause thing, then you don't have to do this, but I'm just going to do this. For now, I'm going to do E. So E, there we go. I'll also do I. Let's do I. So E and I as for inventory. And then what we'll do is we'll just get parent dot show. What we'll do is say if get parent dot visible. No, what we'll do is we'll just do this get parent dot visible equals that and say not get parent dot visible. All right, so let's play. We'll just test that works. Play. Now if I press E, every time it'll check to see if it's visible. So this is just a very quick way to check if it's visible or set it to the opposite of what it is. So yeah, let's do that. Okay, next thing we're going to do is we're going to add a container. And this is going to be let's search up container, look at the different kinds we have. So there's a lot, but and you can kind of go through all of them to see what you might want, but I'm going to use a grid container. I'm going to move this into the middle. This is going to be our slots container. We're going to have a few slots in that container. So let's make our slot. Our slot is going to be, let's see, let's see if I have some GUI for this. I think I should. Yeah, okay. Actually, you know what? For now, let's do, we'll do texture button. And then what we can do, we can go into texture. We can say new image texture. We'll go into here. We'll pop this in or not. Yeah, okay, I can't do that. It might not be image texture. Let's see, what can we use here? You know what? Let's actually just make this a regular button. Let's delete this and make a regular button for now. I can't be asked to go through the headache of this. Okay, let's save this. This will be in our inventory. It'll be called slot. And then we're also going to add, I'm going to rename it to slot. Also going to add an image, a PNG. We don't want it to be anything big. We're just going to add this for now. No, actually, I forgot that we actually have items. So let's add in an item. So let's delete that icon. And this is going to be our item. So this is the size of our slot, right? So we want to size it so that it's good. And then kind of center that. Let's actually just do this manually in our rectangle. Let's do 25 by 25, okay, 26 by 26, I guess. And then let's pop this into this to center it. And then we'll kind of pop that into the middle. Awesome. So this is our slot. You might actually want to use a better texture for the button, but either way, this will work for now. So let's add a script to it. And in our script, we're just going to delete all this. We're going to have a few things. We're going to have has item. So we're going to do has item equals false. We're going to do variable item icon. And we're going to preload something. It doesn't matter what we preload right now, as long as it's a PNG. So we just have to preload a PNG. The reason this doesn't matter is because, I'll explain in a second. So let's keep going. We'll do item name. And we're just going to have empty string. We're going to do variable item count. And that's it. I have other things like item value, item cost. You can save other value things in this slot, but for now, this is the default stuff. This is the stuff that we actually will probably need. Other than that, though, yeah, let's just let's just keep going, and then you can kind of add things later on if you want. So let's create a process function. In this process function, all we're going to do is we're going to check a few things. So if item count is equal to 0, then we're just going to hide our sprite. So we're going to do get node. I'm going to rename this sprite actually to item. I'm going to save it. And then we're going to get node item and hide. Right? So if we have 0 items in our inventory, we're going to hide it. We're also going to check if has item is equal to true. If it isn't, so what we'll do is we'll make an else function. Then we'll do the same thing. We're going to just hide our item. We'll do that and get hide. But if we do have an item, then we'll show it, right? What we also want to do when we show it is we're going to get item dot texture equal to item icon. So this is where we're actually setting our item in our icon, right? So let's say I have in our, if you remember our inventory, we have 2 items at the moment. There's only 2. Hopefully, maybe you've done more. But the item icon from that inventory will pop into that. You know what? Let me just open it so we can actually visualize it a bit more. Let's go to inventory. So if I open this guy, close that. Let's minimize this a little bit. Let's go again. Here we go. Make it a bit smaller. Okay, so here we go. We have the icon right here. This icon will essentially be loaded into the item icon. And then if we'll also say, we'll pass through has item is equal to true eventually once we put an item into this icon or the slot. And if there is an item, then we'll set the texture, right? And yeah, that's it. So let's now go into our inventory screen and fill our slot container with slots. So let's go to slot. I'm going to fill it with slots. What we'll do is we're going to go here and we're going to set the minimum size so that way it doesn't get resized. There we go. So any container, if you ever have problems with any container resizing your items and stuff, you just have to make sure the minimum size is what you want it to be. Otherwise, Godot will automatically resize it for you. So let's go into slot container. We're going to do columns. Let's do 3. And then here, what we'll do is we'll have slot 1. And then I'm going to duplicate this a few times. 1, 2, let's do 4. 4. Okay, yeah, let's do 16 slots. So we have 16 slots. Let's hide the panel for now. I'll put it up later. We can kind of change this a little bit by going to theme override. We can go to the H and V separation, and we can just kind of increase it a little bit to separate our slots so it looks a bit nicer. Awesome. There's our inventory. I'm going to move this up, and all I'm going to do is actually going to add the word button to each slot, just so I know that it's a button. I'll give you a reason as to why I'm doing this in a second, but yeah. Okay, next thing we're going to do. Okay, next thing we want to do is actually fill our inventory, right? So our inventory here is done. However, our UI input is not done. Let me actually double check where I do this. Okay, yeah, I actually do this in inventory screen. So in our inventory screen, we're going to load all our buttons. So I'm going to do onReady variable slot buttons equals an array of our buttons. I'm just going to copy paste this because I already have this in my reference. So I'm just going to copy paste this, but you can pause and make sure you do this right. Let me just actually double check the name is all right. Oh, okay, let's see. Slots container. Let me just copy paste that. Okay, that's right. Slot 1. Okay, that should be right. Okay, let's actually load this to see if it errors. Okay, so it works. Next, what we're going to do is we're going to actually fill our items, right? So we'll do this in a process function. So we'll check to see if our inventory has anything that we can load into it. So we can do if first we're going to check to see if our node exists. So if has node inventory. This is just good practice to avoid errors. Then we'll do get, go to our inventory, and we can find our function that allows us to get the items. Ooh, maybe it doesn't exist. No, sorry. We're going to have to make that in our inventory screen. Here we go. So we're going to do it, make a function called get items inventory items. So let's make that function. Let's do get inventory items. We'll pass for now to avoid any errors. There we go. And then in here, what we're going to do, we're going to just check to see if our inventory, right, our inventory from our actual inventory has anything to load into our slot container, right? So let's go back to our inventory screen, and we're going to create a variable called keys, and we're just going to make this equal to inventory dot get get keys, and I actually have to set what inventory is. So we're going to actually do this up here. We're going to make another on ready variable inventory equals it should just be we'll just do this inventory. So we're loading this node right here, right? So in our main node inventory screen, we're going to load our inventory, right? So that way we can access the inventory, we can access the inventory size. Let's actually change this to 16 because now our inventory size is 16. You could have done that here as well, but it doesn't matter to me. What else? Okay, so now we've called our inventory get keys, which is a function from here, right? So we have the get keys somewhere. Here we go. So we're going to check how many keys our inventory has, right? So how many items, right? And then in our inventory screen, we're going to fill our thing. So our actual slot container. So for loop I in range of slot buttons dot size. If I keys dot size, then we'll just say variable item equal to inventory dot get. Let me just copy paste this line because whenever you access a function outside of the node, it doesn't fill out for you. It doesn't finish it for you. So okay, so what are we doing here? We're making our key. So we're going to get the number of keys or items that we have. So this is the amount of items. Then we're going to for loop through our buttons. So it should for loop from 0 to 15, right? So 0 or 1 to 16 if you want to think of it that way. But it is 0 to 15. If I, so 0, is smaller than the size of our key, which will be, let's say we have one item, which will be 1, then that means we have one item, and our I is 0 right now, right? So we have a button, 0, and there's an item in our inventory because we know it by saying keys.size that we do not have loaded, right? So let's load it in. Let's put it into our container. So what we'll do is we'll say slot buttons dot I. So at I, like an array, we'll say item icon equals. Let me just load this. We're going to load get the item dot get stat icon. So what we're doing is so we have the item dot get stat. Let's look at that first. So this guy, item dot get stat. So we have our item. We've gotten our item, by the way, in our variable. Now let's get the stat. Let's find that stat, which is right here. So icon, right? We're gonna return this string. And what do we want to do with that string? Well, we want to load it into our item icon, right? Because in our slot we have item icon. Here it is. Let's just copy paste that to make sure it's right. Yeah, and that's right. And so now here, what we can do is just fill out all these things, right? So we can go here, we can say, not has item, we'll say item name. Item name will be, we're not going to load it because it's just a string. And we'll say up here in our inventory, we're going to get the name, right? So we want to get the name and fill it into our slot. Other things I can do is and then you can kind of fill in anything else you want. Let's actually delete this line. I don't need that. Here, I'm going to say has item equals true. And that is it. Let me just copy paste that to make sure. Right. Awesome. And then else, have an else function. And then we'll say false. So we're going to for loop through our, because we're still looping through our button size, we're going to see if this thing has, if we have any items left. If there is, then we fill it. If there isn't, then we're just going to set it to false. We don't have to reset any of these other things because once we've set it to false, we're already hiding it. So there's no point to doing anything else. Let's just delete that pass. So now I believe if I play, hopefully this doesn't error. Yeah, there we go. There's our item. So it's already loaded in. However, obviously when I click it, nothing happens, but we do have an item now. Another way we can test this works is go into our inventory. Let's create another item, and it'll be a different item. So go to play, and there we go. We have another item. I believe if I try to play again, I've loaded, and then I've also added. So I should have more than one item here. So let me actually check if it counts. I don't think it does, but we'll check. Let's go to item here. Let's open up our inventory save. Let's open this. Here we have our first item. Oh, it does. Okay, awesome. No, sorry. Let's we have to save it by pressing escape, right? Let's make it so that when let's go to here, and then no, sorry, input handler. What we'll do is we'll also save if we ever open our inventory. Here we go. Let's play again. Oh no, sorry. Let's go into here. The file has been modified. You want to reload it? Yes. Let's reload it and see what the update looks like. Okay, yeah, so it does save the item count. So the quantity, I have 3 of the wooden staffs, and I have 1 silver staff, right? So it does have a count, and we can actually, let me check. Yeah, so you can add that here. Do I have the item count? Yes, I do. You can also load the item count if you want, but I think I actually do that in slot count. Let me double check. No, I do that somewhere else. Anyways, item count aside, let's do something with our item. Let's create an interface, I suppose. So the way I do that, let me just double check. Yeah, okay. Okay, we're going to create an interface item where when I click that item, it's going to give me the information of that item. So there's a bunch of different ways you can do this. You can add a hover to your UI input handler if you want. You can add, there's so many different ways you can do this with an inventory. In my last series, I did a hover thing where you could hover an inventory item and it would hover and pop up information of that inventory. So let's create something where if I click it, it's going to pop up an information box for me. So let's create other node. We're going to create a canvas layer. And in this canvas layer, it'll be super easy. We're going to save it as item info. I'm going to save it here in our inventory. I'm going to rename it to item info. We're going to add a panel. I'm going to center it as much as I can. I'm going to add a label. And I'm also going to add a sprite. In the sprite, I'm going to load something. Let's load an item first. So not there. I have to look it up. Item, inventory, here we go. Inventory times 16. Let's load an armor, that's fine. Close all that. Okay. Whoops. Let's just have some text info or text as sample. Let's make our label a bit smaller. We'll do 0.6, 0.6. We'll actually make our label a little bit bigger, or panel, sorry. So this is going to be our item. Let's actually make it a bit bigger. So we'll double it. No, actually, we'll do 1.5. 1.5, there we go. Okay, and so this is going to be our item, our actual item, and then this is going to be our information. So we can fill out anything we want in this. Let's actually duplicate this. And what we'll do is we'll have the first one be the name. So we'll say name, and then this one will be for description. And we'll pop that in. Let's center this, and then I'll auto wrap it. And let's auto wrap this. Let's do center here, and then we'll do center and top. That's fine. And then the last thing, I'll just make my panel slightly bigger. And then let's lock all this. Lock, there we go. And now what we're going to do is, sorry, let me just double check. Okay, we're going to go to our inventory screen. We're going to add that new item that we just made. Where is it? Item info. We're going to add that in, and it'll pop up right there. And we're going to actually move this to the bottom, so right there. And now what we want to do is every time I click a button, so we'll actually open that button. So let's go to slot button. And let's say we pressed, and we'll connect them. And then in here, what we'll do is we are going to, let's load our actual item info node. So we have to find it. So item info equals get node. Let me find the path. So to find the path, what we can do is we can go to our node here, and we can just pop in this guy. So that's our path. All right, so this is get parent, and then get info, basically. That's what it's doing. So now we've loaded this guy, or loaded it. All right, so now that we have our item info, we want to fill it in with our actual information of what is in this thing, right? So let's say, we'll say if has item is equal to true, then what we'll do is we'll say item info dot get node name equal to item name, right? And we're just going to copy this, and we're basically sending information from this button into our item information. Let's go back to our slot. We're going to name dot text. That's why we want to set the text. Let's set the description to. Actually, no, we're not going to set the description here, but we will set. Let me just copy paste this part. The item icon texture. I'm going to delete this. And then what we'll do is we're going to actually show it. So we'll say item info dot layer equals 2. And then we'll also show it. So we'll say item info, show, or we'll say visible equals the not visible. So we'll say we'll make it uninvisible essentially. And then I think that is it. Let's now go into item info, and what we'll do is we'll add a script here. We're not going to add too much in it, but right now what we can do is we can say no, let's pass actually on the process function, and then in our ready function we'll do ready. We'll say self.hide, and we'll also say layer equals -1. Okay, so now let's play and see what happens. So if I play, here's my inventory. I can open and close it. Let's click something, and it errors. Okay, what's going on? Invalid set text with type nil. That means this is empty, maybe. Yeah, that means it's empty. Why is it empty? Am I never setting it? Let's go into inventory screen. Go to slot button. Let me double check something. Okay, I realize actually we don't want to do this here. Oh, sorry. We want to actually go into our inventory screen. Let's actually hide this for now so it's not in our way. Let's go into our button. What we're going to do is we're going to click our press button, and we're going to connect this to our UI input. We're going to go to advanced. We're going to go to int, and we're going to add. We're going to add an argument. Each one is going to have the number associated with it. So the first one, let me actually double check. No, sorry, the bind is 0. So the first button is a bit weird, but the first button, it's a slot 1 button, is going to be 0. So we're going to have 0 to 15. Let's connect it. And now we should get a function like this. If you do not have this, please go back and double check that you did this right. So we want to go to advanced, add an integer. We're going to add, and the argument for this one, because we're on slot 2, is going to be 1. So let's connect. And you want to do this for each button. At the moment, I'll only do it for the first 2 because we only have 2 items, and so there's only 2 items to test. But yeah, that's how I'm going to do that. Oh, sorry, I actually did that wrong. Let's go back here and disconnect that. Let's try it again. Sorry. Okay, so let's go back to our input here. You want to make sure the function is the same name for all of them. Sorry. So pressed, make sure the receiver method is the same. Connect it to the UI input holder, add one, and etc. So make sure this is all right. Make sure the function name is always the same. Make sure that's always going to the UI input handler, and make sure the argument is right. So it's always like the slot button -1. So connect, and that should connect me to the same function. So now we're going to pass through. So let's actually test this. Let's see what happens. Let's print extra. Oh no, sorry. We'll still error. So let's code this out and then see what happens. So what we're going to do is we're going to do the same thing. We're going to pass through our item info equals get node. Let's actually end this so we have no error. We're going to pop in this guy. So we're going to get our info. And then with that info, we're going to say if item info dot layer is smaller than 0, then we will do something. We'll fill it. So let's get our keys first. Let's get keys equals inventory dot. We have to actually load our inventory too. So let me do that. Let's go here. So onReady variable inventory. So we're going to get our inventory. We're going to load it, and then we're going to say inventory dot get keys. Here we go. Get keys, only one dot. There we go. And then we're also going to check if our size is bigger than our extra argument, right? Because we don't want to overfill we don't want to be clicking something that's not in our inventory, essentially. And then we're going to get our item. So we're doing the same thing as inventory screen, almost. So let's go back to our input handler. Let's get our item, right? And so this is where it gets a bit special. The item itself, because it's not the exact same, right? Because here, what we're doing is we're for looping. So we have some reference to fill, right? We have the item keys.I. However, for our input handler, we only want to get the item that we just clicked on. We don't want to get all of them. We only want to get the one, which is why we have the extra argument, right? So if I am trying to get the 0 item, I click this and it'll give me 0, key 0, right? The inventory dot get item at the key 0, right? Now that we have our item, we actually want to fill things with it. So let me just copy paste this so save my time. So we're going to get our info. We can actually just replace that with item info dot get node name. No, not icon. Name. Which one is it? Sprite. There we go. Dot texture, and we're going to load our icon. And then we're going to copy paste this here, and we're going to set our name. We're going to set our name to the key, right? Yeah. And then what we can also do is we can set a lot of different things. So we have item count at this point as well. We can also set, let me actually copy it. I'll comment it out so that way it doesn't error my game. But what you can do is get the item info and set item count. So you would have to set item count inside your item info, and then you can show how many items you have as well. Let me comment that out because I do not have a comment, or I do not have a item count. But also, and then we can also fill our description. Here we go. That's the line I was looking for. So let's get item get node. We're going to do this and say des. So we're going to get our description dot text, and we're going to fill in our text, our description. So we're getting item dot get stat. So at this point, hopefully you've kind of seen what we can do. We can basically just fill anything with our get stat function, right? So so let's play and see what happens. So hopefully this doesn't error. Okay, let's delete this for now. Play, click, add. We're not showing it. That's why. No, actually, you know what? Let's go back to our slot. We're not going to delete this. What we'll do is we'll delete these 2 lines for now. Yeah, there we go. Play. Let's click. There we go. Wooden stuff. I click this one. It'll. Ooh, it's not working. All right, I must have done something wrong, but the first one is working. So we've loaded in the description, we've loaded in the name, and we've also loaded in the icon, which is awesome. So you can now do this for each button. So you have button 3. Let's do this one more time, just so you got it. I gotta make sure I copy it right. Make sure you go to your UI input handler. We copy this function. We go to button 3, press. We're gonna connect it to this guy. We're gonna rename the function to the right one. We're gonna add an int, and this is going to be number 2. And so you can keep doing this for all of them, or you have to do that for all of them in order for them to work. And so yeah, that's how you make a user interface for inventory. We now can interact with our inventory, which is awesome. So I can open, close, open. Let's try loading. See what happens if I only click this one first. Yeah. So you would also want a way to close this first. So I'm not going to do it because I'm a bit lazy. But in your item info, you want another button essentially. You want to add a button that closes this window. Let's actually, you know what? Let's do that. It's not too hard. Let's add a button, and then this will be here. Close. Let's make it smaller. Let's go to scale. We'll do 0.5 to 0.5. Rename it to close. Let's connect it. Press. We don't want advanced for that one. And then we'll do self layer equals -1, and then we'll also do self dot visible equals false. For this one, we want it to be false. So, all right, let's play. Let's click this. Close. It's not working. Why is it not working? Ooh, I think I know it's not working actually. Let's pop this up here. Ooh, interesting. Why is it not working? That is strange. Let's go to remote. Why can I not click on it? What is going on? Item screen, item info. Let's go to item info. It's on layer 2. This one should be layer 1. So I should be able to interact with it. It's very strange. Let me just double check. Replay. Open it. Why can I not click on it? That is very strange, actually. I'm not too sure why. Let's change the scale back. It's not because I'm paused, right? All right, I'm actually not sure why it's doing that, but you got the idea. I don't want to spend too much time on the inventory because it takes a lot of time to create an inventory. Let's open this again and make it visible. Let's make it as big as the actual inventory. Go. All right. But yeah, so this is kind of how you make an inventory. I think I'm going to end it there. I've given you the basics. You can kind of figure out how to keep going with this if you want to make your own game, if you are making your own game. Let me just explain. I won't do it, but I'm going to explain how you make items. Whenever we die, what you're going to have to do is find your inventory. So you can do get tree, get parent, whatever you want to use. Find your inventory screen. We go to inventory screen. We say inventory because we have inventory here. We can say inventory dot create item. So create item is how you would create an item in your inventory, right? So let's delete all that. Let's go to here, and yeah, that's it. So in your inventory, in your monster, you would have to do that here, right? That is it. Let's see. Let's play. Let's see what I have. So I have our inventory here. I can't close this because I'm lazy. I might add that into next video. I'll figure out why I couldn't click the button and fix that. But yeah, we have a inventory that works. We have some cool stuff. I also do want to do NPC interaction. I think that was a request from a commenter. Someone asked for dialogue. So I might do that as a final episode. So look out for that. But that is it for our inventory. If you want the code, I will be uploading to a GitHub soon. or I am uploading to a GitHub. You might have to find it, but I haven't posted it, so it's not in the description, I don't think. But it will be in our final video, so um, keep an eye out for that. Also, last thing before I go, I do have a Patreon. If you want to pledge to it, you can. As soon as I get one Patreon, I will start posting on it. At the moment, I have 0, which is like fine. I wanted to originally grow my YouTube a bit more before asking for Patreon, but I think I'm growing at an okay rate. So I will let you know I do have a Patreon that you can pledge to if you want. It does help a lot. I make no money from this. I gain absolutely nothing from making these YouTube videos right now, other than the satisfaction of teaching you guys, which is awesome. Also, comment, subscribe, share the video if you guys have any friends who might want to learn how to code. And yeah, comment down below what you guys want to see next. So I'll see you guys next time. Bye bye.